Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Tonight we got a great show for you, of course, like always. And here it is. We're going to be talking about black mirrors. Yes, all from this book right here, the Franz Bardon, the initiation into Hermetics. If you haven't got it, it'd be a great one if you're into this stuff to go get. It's well worth the cost. I know they're a little expensive and it's hard to find, but it's a good book anyway. We're going to take up on chapter The Magic Schooling of Spirit Induction, and then we're going to move on right away to the Clairvoyance Magic Mirrors. It's right in there. So magic mirrors tonight. Who doesn't love magic mirrors? I don't have one, but I do have a cell phone. It looks black. It's like a magic mirror. We all have one. Isn't that weird? But anyhow, I got my magic mirror on order, and it will be here someday soon from Amazon. Maybe that's not the place to get it. Maybe I should get it off a different site. Anyway, as we go on, I want to, as always, I got cool and good things to share with you all. So let's go with that. Let's see. I always got to have good sharing skills, and people love things that share. What would it be if I didn't share stuff? Anyway, bear with me, people. Bear with me. Let's touch the start. I don't know what movie that was from, but it's from some movie. Somewhere. At some point in time. Let's get on with this. We're going to go, usually people can become afflicted with various kinds of ailments, such as weakness of the eyes, poor eyesight, nervous disorders, etc. The main reason for such an ailment can be found in the fact that the clairvoyance which was achieved was not a consequence of proper mental and astral development, but instead was provoked by a force and was therefore one-sided and subsequently became a disease rather than an ability. You hear that? Your disease should have been an ability, but something got corrupted in it. It's like a corrupt program in a computer. If you practice or follow any of these incomplete instructions, they will lead out, without exception, to the unnatural, pathological, and immobilization of an element, which will result in an oversensitivity of one of the sensory organs. Therefore, it is not impossible that the senses perceive impressions. Though this is oversensitivity from an astral or mental world, but all of these perceptions are dependent upon a spiritual aptitude of the person who follows the instructions, as well as his maturity and his karma. The immobilization of an element can be divided into four main groups, and they are, now we've talked about these groups before, and if you haven't heard of them, you should read the book on Hermetics. We have the immobilization of the principle of fire. The group belong to all experiments of clairvoyance, which is undertaken by gazing at an object, such as a crystal gazing or focusing on a dot or a point, gazing on a shiny surface such as a black ink, black coffee, a mirror, and so on. Yeah, so just gaze into your coffee as you're drinking it. There you go, but it better be black. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for coming tonight and hearing me read. We get right into this. I know you didn't come here to just hear me lollygag, so we're going to get going. Group 2, immobilization of the air principle. Of course, you're going to have air. In this group belong all experiments of clairvoyance, which are undertaken by burning and thereby creating fumes or smoke, such as burning of incense, inhalation or noxic fumes, or vapors, gases, or so on. Okay, with that, we got our noxic fumes. Well, let's see what we got here. And we got to make our own noxic fumes. So I'm going to stop share for a second. And then you got this, our noxic fumes. And we're doing the thing. This is my sandalwood. Oh, come on. We're going to light the sandalwood and have our own noxic fumes here. Make the place smell good. Can you see that? Ah, the fumes. You got to speak into the smoke. And then the smoke carries it up to the spirits. That's all you need, people. That's all you need. A little bit of smoke goes into the spirit world. And you speak into that. It's kind of like water. How do you get the air is kind of like water. But how do you get your message into it? With smoke. You know? Smoke, and you speak into it, and it carries your message into the air, which delivers the message. Pretty simple, eh? Okay. We've all learned something today. 3, mobilization of the water principle. The immobilization of water principle is brought about through experiments such as taking narcotics, alkaloid substance such as opium, harsh soma, peyote, mescaline, and which other enter the bloodstream via digestive process. But those are drugs. You know what you can do? You get your bottle of water here. You can get this bottle of water, and you can speak at it. You can put your intentions in it and drink it. Make it your own. There you go. And you can have your own drug of choice that way through water. Just speak into it and put your intentions into the water. It won't harm you because you're putting good intentions in. It's just water. Nothing has changed. We didn't add nothing except our intentions. So there you go. Mobilization of the earth principle. In this group, belonging to all practices that cause a split consciousness or a rotating one's head, shifting of conscious, or example, dancing, swaying, or upper body, rotating of one's head, spelling of the letters of the feet, and so on. This also includes all involuntary and pathological visions of mental illness. Furthermore, all pathological cases that are triggered by frightening or terror, anger, and exhaustion also belong to this group. Much more could be said about the diversity of these exercises. Remember, go do some exercises. It strengthens that muscle memory in your brain, in your body, everywhere, in your ether. Much more could be said about the diversity of these exercises and about the dangers or disadvantages. These disbelief descriptions should be sufficient for a true magician. Are you a true magician? Magician. Or wizard. Don't forget that. It is, of course, a foregone conclusion that the immobilization of an elemental principle not only causes damage to one's health, but also severely hinders one's spiritual development, especially when such a similar experiences are practiced over long periods of time. And when they become a habit, the doubler may ascertain an existence of higher powers with the help of these 4 main groups. But if he is unable to control himself or the elements, he will easily succumb to the temptations of the lower forces. Remember, rise above. Be higher than you are now. You want to go to the higher realms. If you have yielded to these lower forces even once, it will be very difficult to rise. Never let your guard down. That's my talking. Okay, well, only well-trained magician with a will of iron, who is on the control of the elements and who has developed his astral senses, step by step through the individual exercises set out in this book can, with impunity, afford a temporary immobilization or disconnect of one elemental principle without suffering any dangers to his body, soul, or spirit. A true magician has the ability to reestablish the elemental equilibrium of his body, soul, and spirit through his exercises. Remember, exercises, people, exercises. Also, his success in the practice of clairvoyance are gratifying because he does not experiment, but instead works consciously with his acquired abilities, which are merely part of his spiritual and psychic development. Okay, so practice of clairvoyance with magic mirrors. Here it all begins. There are, as we know, two types of magic mirrors. And we're going to go back to me presenting. Okay. Magic mirror. Okay. Optical mirrors, which are either made from flat glass or concave glass, which are coated on one side with a silver amalgam or black lacquer. The outer side of this concave mirror or convex side is lacquered, whereas the inside, the concave side, is clear and shiny. Crystal balls, as well as flat and concave metal mirrors, where the surface is covered with black or colorized liquid, below to the category of optic mirrors. Even the surface of still water can serve as an optic mirror. Still water. Just go down by the water, people. You know how many times you see stuff in the water? The second type of mirror are those which are prepared with fluid condensers, as I have described in the previous step of this book. Okay, above all, the magician must realize that it is not the mirror alone which assures or guarantees success in mere magic. This is accomplished by the astral and mental abilities which are developed through the previous exercise. Remember, you can't be a magician if you just get a mirror. You got to practice. It's like going to the class of, remote viewing. If you don't remote view, you're never going to be a remote viewer. You can't just say, I'm going to do it and be a remote viewer. Okay. Above all, the astral abilities developed through exercises. The magician considers a magic mirror only as an aid. It's a tool, people. It's a tool. Regardless of the type, he views it, so to speak, as a tool. Yep, see, I was right. This is to say that the magician cannot work without a mirror, but since a magic mirror offers so many applications, the magician will usually choose to make use of this device. Okay, a magician who has followed the instructions in this book and has practiced them step by step will refrain from merely sitting in front of a magic mirror and tire his optical nerves by gazing at it. He does not practice in this manner. He practices in the proper magical manner. See, there's two manners to do it from. Just the right one and the wrong one. You can't just pick up the mirror and look in it and expect to see something. That should be common sense. He does not practice the manner. Okay, he practices in the proper magical manner. Remember, proper. It's like having a seance versus I'm just going to look into it. But before I describe the individual practice, I will list some of the examples where a magic mirror will be of good service. Okay, here's the examples where you could use a magic mirror. In all cases which require optical exercises and wherein you make use of your imagination. So you look in the mirror and you imagine. Sounds easy enough, doesn't it? In all instances, when you are loading or charging fluids, energies or powers, that's kind of interesting. It's a gateway to the planes or spheres you wish to visit. Again, a tool. As the means of communication with the living and departed human beings. Well, that's interesting. It can be used as a means of making contact with forces or entities. It can also be used as an instrument of imagination or impregnation, or impregnate rooms to treat the ailing. So you can treat the people who are sick. Magic mirror can also be used as a means of influence yourself as well as others. Basically, you're going to hypnotize yourself by looking at yourself. It can be used as a magic transmitter and a receiver. Magic mirror. Let's see. Ain't that a cool one? Explore. Okay. It can be used treat the alien receiver. Magic mirror can be an instrument for defense or warding off harmful and undesirable influences. Magic mirror can also be an instrument of projection for all forces and pictures of your desire. Magic mirror can be used as a television set. Go figure. Why would they put that in there? View the programming, people. View the programming. Okay, magic mirror can be means to explore the present and the past and the future. Did you know Notre Dame used a magic mirror? He used a black liquid fluid. That's what he used. And he looked into the bowl of black liquid fluid as he sat there for hours looking into it, seeing the past and seeing the future. And then he wrote it all down. It would be impossible to list all the possibilities since the magic mirror is universal in its applicability. It would therefore not be difficult for an intuitive magician to extend this list by virtue of the foremost 12 examples. Sit in your sitting position in front of your magic mirror at a distance at approximately 1 or 2 yards. Yeah, you don't want to get right up close. You want to sit a ways away. The lighting during the exercise of this is of no consequence. Begin practicing. The imagination exercises by imagining one object after another on the surface of the magic mirror. These objects must be seen clearly and distinctly with open eyes, as if they were actually present. This preliminary exercise should present no difficulties to you, since you have become a master of the imagination. In the meantime, retain the concept of the object for a few minutes before you dissolve it, again through the imagination. Should you still experience difficulties with this imagination of objects, you can begin your imagination exercises by imagining colors and proceed with imagining objects. We mentioned before that the optical imagination is analogous of the fire principle. It is therefore only logical that those magicians who are in control of the fire element will garner greater success in mere magic. Also, if you are proficient in the fire element, you will be proficient in the magic mirror. Let's see. Let's see. What are we going to do? When you are successful in imagining inanimate objects, proceed to the imagination exercise, which with various kinds of animals. And once you have accomplished this, begin with human beings. Start with friends and acquaintances and imagine their facial expressions. Later on, imagine facial expressions of strangers and people of different races. Then extend your field of imagination to the whole body of a human being. Once you are able to imagine a human being on the surface of the mirror, whether male or female, whether or not they are known to you, then proceed to imagine houses, entire villages, etc. Practice until you have achieved an expressional proficiency at this. Not until you have attained all these abilities are you magically prepared to practice mere magic properly. So basically, they're saying work your mind, work your imagination, practice, practice, practice. Once you get it down, it's like riding a bike. Okay, these first exercises of the uttermost importance because the mental, astral, and physical eyes must first become accustomed through the imagination exercise. So you're sitting there looking at your magic mirror 2 yards away, and you're trying to imagine what is there. Imagine a fruit, imagine something, and then keep on going. So you get to people, villages, whole cities, maybe even the whole world. Under no circumstance should you allow any other pictures to appear on your mirror itself during these first exercises, which could easily happen to those who have medistic tendencies. Therefore, immediately, firmly reject all pictures which appear by themselves on the surface of the mirror, regardless of how beautiful and fantastic they might be, because the things you see which appear against your will are hallucinations, and their thought reflexes from your subconscious, which love to appear and deceive the magician for the purpose of disturbing him in his work. During these first exercises, you will discover that the larger the mirror is, the easier it will be to work imaginatively. So there you go. A bigger mirror. Use a big mirror if you possibly can. Loading of the mirror. The next task is to become acquainted with the loading of the mirrors. The magician must be able to banish and accumulate the desired energy or power on the surface of the mirror by means of imagination, whether through himself or directly from the universe, and dissolve it again through the imagination into the primary source. The following methods of loading have to be undertaken. Number 1, with all 4 elements in the proper sequence, with the akasha, with light, with the electric fluid, and with the magnetic fluid. Got all that? I hope so. Once the magician has achieved through these exercises a certain proficiency in loading the mirrors, he has reached the immaturity to continue with his mirror experiments. On this regard, I will give a few examples to describe the methods. There we go. Is it so easy? Just look into the mirror, people. Look into the mirror. Magic mirror as a gateway to desired places. Make certain that you are not disturbed by your surroundings during this experiment. Sit in a comfortable position in front of your mirror and load the surface of the mirror with Akashic element, which your body absorbs from the universe through lung and pore breathing. The loading of the mirror with your personal Akasha can either be carried out through your hands or directly through the solar plexus. Then completely forget your physical body and think only as a spirit, which can assume any shape or size. Now think that the size of your spirit reduces to such a degree that it can walk right through the mirror. When you have walked through the mirror with the aid of the imagination, you will find yourself on the astral plane. Remember, therefore, there for a while, fully conscious, looking around without losing your consciousness or falling asleep. I guess that's the hardest part, not falling asleep. You'll be really relaxed at this point. Having accomplished this, return through the mirror and reunite with your physical body. In the beginning, you will be surrounded by darkness on the astral plane. However, after frequent repetition of this exercise, you will perceive light. The feeling of freedom, independence, timeless and spaceless, will overcome you because you are on the astral plane, which is commonly known as the beyond. After frequent repetition of this exercise, you will eventually come to contact with departed human beings and other entities of the astral plane. Should you wish to see any departed human beings, you will immediately be in contact with that person. Though repeated visits to the astral plane, you will learn to know all the laws that prevail there, as well as the place that you yourself will occupy when you leave your physical body. Ooh, that's getting good. Okay. The fear of death will disappear once and for all. When you are on the astral plane and concentrate on rising to a higher plane, you will soon experience finer vibrations and you will be surrounded by a feeling of particular lightness. It's kind of like astral travel, I guess, huh? What do you think? Astral traveling? Feeling lightness. You will be able to come into contact with beings of higher spheres. You will be privy to knowledge and experiences which no mortal will be able to bestow upon you. You will always return to your physical body with spiritual vibrations of a higher kind, which are undescribable. The spiritual spheres which you can visit depend upon your control over the elements and your spiritual and astral purity, the ennoblement of your character. There is no set limits in regards to acquiring higher knowledge. Once you have gathered enough experience in these spheres, you can also contact higher light beings in the same manner. In the instance, however, you do not load the mirror with akasha, but instead with concentrated light that resembles the brightness of the sun. There is no doubt that you can visit lower spheres with this method. For example, the elements and its beings. All you have to do is to load the mirror with a particular element of the sphere that you have chosen to visit. When you pass through the mirror, you must assume the shape or form of that. Let me turn the page. Particular plane. Should you wish to visit the kingdom of the gnomes, not only do you have to load the mirror with earth elements, but you must also transfer your own spirit imaginatively into the shape of a gnome and fill yourself entirely with the earth element. So, you know what it's telling me? It's telling me that if you fill it with light, it takes you somewhere. So then, is the universe light or is it dark? Where do we actually come from, the light or the dark? It's a good question, people. It's a good question. There you go. Okay. In a second book, The Practice of Magical Evocation, I have described the detail of the spirits and respective elements can be summoned by the magicians to our earth and how they can be employed to perform certain assignments. Well, there you go. So you can go through the magic mirror and employ spirits to do things for you. Okay, the magic mirror as a communications link between living and the departed human beings. Oh, wow. This is going to be a two-parter. I tell you that for sure. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. We're going to come back with part 2 real soon tomorrow night. So be here or be square like a mirror. It's really good. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget to join me tomorrow where we're going to be talking about magic mirrors some more and finish this up, this chapter, and you'll be all set to learn. And remember, get your elements together, figure them out. Remember, keep your imagination vivid like a child. And once you have that good imagination, that's all you need, people. Good imagination. Sit there and you can look at your mirror, and it doesn't have to be an expensive one. It could be a cup of black coffee. It doesn't matter about the lighting around you. We find out it's all about your intentions and practicing. Can you imagine something in your head and see it there? And then say an orange, an apple, and then a bicycle, a football, a pool table. Next thing you know, you're imagining your loved ones, and then move up to strangers, and then the village, and then the world, and then you got it pretty well going on. But with that, remember, everybody, go out and be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. I love you all. Peace, everybody.